Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 5, Introduction to Linux. Today we're going to study user environment commands. So the first command we learn is who command. It shows you who is logged in. So you just type in who, and then you will see that who was logged in on this computer or still logged in from this is the name. This is I'm not sure what this is, just to show you yeah, this shows you the date. First thing was first time person was logged in was 17 on the 19th of the 8th. The computer was on and it's been on till this current time. That's fair. Last recorded. Yeah, that's about it for who command. The next command is who am I. So it just shows you who is using this, who is actually currently is on in the terminal and is logged in as well. So Tux at Intel, and it just shows you that Tux is logged in. And yeah, so who am I? So if you get confused when you maybe accidentally open someone else's account and somehow maybe friends at uni or whatever or wherever accidentally log in and you don't know who it was, maybe it will be just a server name here. Just type who am I and it will show you who is currently under which name you're using the command line. Okay, now the next command is a very useful command which called user add command. So before I jump to that, I have to explain to you the root privilege commands. I think I showed in some other videos that there's a command sudo and there's a command su. So if you need to log in as a root, which means root privilege means that you work from root and you can access and modify the system, change things, which is not recommended for people who don't know what they're doing. But if you need to install a new software, you need to do it from the root. Okay, so how do you change to root? So it's really simple. Just type in sudo su and then ask for password. You need to put your password, and then it just shows you, you see here, you can see that it says root at Intel. This is logged in root, and this is the my home folder, but it doesn't really matter what's here, but it just shows you where I am at the moment. But this hash means that I'm logged in as a root, this symbol instead of $. So that means that I'm logged in as a root. This means that I'm logged in as a root, and this means that if you need to install something, you can do this from here, because otherwise you won't be able to install it from anywhere unless so how do I exit? Just type in exit and you go back to where you were. So the Tux Intel, back to your working login. And but if you need to install something, and instead of logging in as a root, which you might forget to close and accidentally someone press a button and delete your file, which will come destroy your system, you need to type a safe command called sudo. So sudo is a command that gives you the root privilege. So you type in sudo, which means that you will run the next command, whatever it is. In other cases, user, we want to add user, and you can only do this with a particular command. So sudo means that I have a root privilege, because user add will not work normally. It has to be logged, has to be ran as only as a root. So instead of just going into the root directory, we just use sudo from here, and that means that we have a root privilege to use this command to add a user, name's bat, and that's it. Then we'll ask you for password, unless you used the password before, probably not in our case. Group bat exists. Okay, we just use different name. Sudo user add Tom. Oh, Tom already exists. Okay, sudo user add Bob. Okay, finally, someone who doesn't exist on this computer. I don't know where the Tom came from. Maybe I don't. Never mind. So here we added a user. How do we know we added a user? Well, you can check. Just type in ID Bob, and this will show you that Bob is a user ID. This is a user ID underneath for Bob, and this is a group ID for Bob, and so on. Sorry, this is a group ID and groups. Group 2, which it's which Bob is assigned to. Now the next command is useful commands if you want to delete the user. So that will be user del. Actually, we need to put sudo again. Sudo user del remove Bob. Okay, and now if you see we type ID, which is command we also learn here, ID Bob, it's no longer there, so it says no such user. Now okay, give me a second. So the next thing we need to do is learn the command group add. So we want to create a group and use it. So just type in sudo group add name team1. Okay, team1 already exists, so okay, so just type in sudo group add team2. Okay, now how do you check? Okay, there's a command groups, but it will not display this team2 group because this tux does not belong to the team2 group. So that will comes later. So just the way to show you where the group exists is just it does exist though, but just give me a second. I'll show you. This command get int group. It's not in a course, but I found it is useful to know this get int command group, the name of group team2, and as you can see team2 is created, which so this means that this group exists, and you can do the same to check any group that you have. So team1, and also team1 exists. So so this is for group. Now to delete a group, simply just type in sudo again root privilege group del team2, and that will remove the group. Now you can see why. You will see that it is get int group team2, and you will see give you the error unknown database group. Oh, sorry, I didn't spell it right. Well, actually it doesn't display anything because there is no group, otherwise it will show you that there is. So that's it for the this user mode. You need to learn a user mode. So adding new user to a group. Okay, how do we do that? So just give me a second, I'll show you how. Now just before I show you the user mode command, just type in ID for tux. You'll see that the tux belong user ID is tux and group ID is tux. So this is I belong to group tux and so on, and groups other. And so what happens here? So let's just see how it works. Sudo user mode. I need to put a G, and then we need to type a name of the group, which is team1, and then my ID tux. So that means that what we're using is we are assigning a group a group team1 to tux, group ID, yeah, team1 to tux. Now you'll see what happens now. So if you type ID for tux now, you will see that group ID changed now to team1. So this is but I don't want this. I don't want to change this back. So this is how it works. This is how you change it. This is just one thing. There's many options you can do, explore yourself this user mode command, but this is one thing that you can use with it. Just one option I showed you, but there's many one. I'm not gonna go into details of them because there's a lot of stuff there, so I just don't have the time, and it's only introduction lessons. So so just change this back, sudo user mode g tux, so back to tux group. So id tux, yeah, change it back. Okay, now let's move on. So we cover the sudo root privilege command and su. Now su command you can use to change. See, sudo command is used to give you a root privilege. Su command can be used to change user. So if you need to change, if we have a user name, first we need to add user, sudo user add bat. Okay, now we have a user bat, and now if we want to change to login, to his login, like here we have tux, we type in su command bat, and then it asks for password. You need to put password. Unfortunately, I didn't create a password for the bat, but yeah, you need a password, and then yeah, and then you will be logged in as that user. But unfortunately, I don't have the password, so I didn't create it. So yeah, I can't show you that how exactly you logged in. But this is how you use the su command. Okay, now let's move on. Now I have to show you a little bit more about environment variables, which is a pretty cool thing. So the next command, we use the set command, set and then export. Set environment and export. So type in set, you see what comes up. So here we have all environment variables coming up with the paths. So yeah, the top. So one of them is very famous one is bash, which has which located in the bin bash. This is a environment variable, and this is like its link or its location. So yeah, there's a many different ones. So this is just what set command does, shows you all this, but you can use it, run the manual pages for set command and see what's going on there. Now env command, a similar command showing you also environment variables, slightly different ones, but also there's all sorts of stuff here. One of them is actually path. It's a very important variable as well. Show you what environment variables do. So environment variables, let's say we change this. Okay, now you can see that I'm back up the top of the tree. So I came out from my home directory. So instead of sometimes typing, remember I told you this, yeah, this represents my home directory. When you type cd, you change and then you go to home directory, my home directory. But instead of sometimes doing this, you can use the environment variable. So let's say you want to change to home. Just type in $sign and home, and you can see that this environment variable is linked to home, and home variable is linked to home, and you can see that I'm back to home directory. So this is just the one thing that you can do with it. Now The next thing, what else should I tell you about this home about the environment variables? There's a many environment variables like a bash bash environment. But what you can do is okay, just give me a second. So I'll show you just a quick command called print env of shell, and you can see that this command shows you the where this the shell variable is located in bin bash. As you remember, before we used in one of those older lessons, I was showing you how to use how to display this some of these variables. Now the next command is export. So how do you use export? Let's just have a look. Print env home. Let's see if it's home. Yeah, Linux projects, but oh, actually I want to show you print, not this one, but yeah, this is a home variable. But what I want to do is add this home variable to bash to path variable, very important variable. Okay, you can see that this variable contains all these locations. It's all in all these locations and all this, but you can use another, you can add another path to it, your own path. So let's say you want to add a path of your home directory to this variable. So what you need to do is type in export sudo, I don't remember if it's a sudo, but export, let's just see if this works. Export path equals $sign path colon, and then you just type in your home directory, home Linux, or you just type in home. I think that will work. Home. Yeah, I think that worked. So but you could type a path instead of, you can type instead of home, you just could type the this Linux project, but we don't want that. I mean, instead of typing, just simply type in home, and let's just see print env path variable. Let's just check. Oh, we can see that our Linux projects are added to that variable, so which is good, what we wanted, and yeah, so this is how you use export command to add a path. It might find important, and sometimes if you're using a directory, you need to add a path to it. If it'll ask you for it or whatever, this is how you do this. Just type in anything you like in it in terms of your directory, what directory or any other directories that you're using instead of home. This case is just home. Okay, now let's move to history command, which is pretty cool command as well. So you'll see that if you type history, simply history, and enter, you will see that you will have a list of all up to, I have 552 commands that I've been using today. History of executions, actually it's all executed anyway. I'm not gonna go look in all of them, but if you need to execute any of them, or if let's say you forgot a command and you go look for it, just type in history, you go look, find, okay, I found this command, I forgot how to use this. So just simply type in here, exclamation mark, and type a number 532 532, and it will execute that command. So instead of typing up again, just type in that number and it will execute that command. So id tooks blah blah blah, etc, etc. The same thing you can use for let's use a clear command. You can see that you can type in exclamation mark 537 and it will execute the clear command. So that will clear. Now you can use there's another one. You can use this to execute last command, last argument in the line. Okay, okay, history, and then you can use star. Yeah, so that just executes the last command you just used. So sometimes you just want to, instead of typing up again the last command you used, which is more efficient to use this. Yeah, so you just type the last command that you executed. If you run a program or whatever to compile it, just type in this colon and $sign. Now, yeah, so the next one I already showed you. This column and n refers to the nth command line. And now another string. So the string command is simply as well, you type a colon, then you say okay, which command should I execute? Let's execute id, type id, and it should execute this command here, id for tox. Yep, and it does. So yeah, so instead of it's more efficient way to do this. Yeah, so instead of using sometimes number, you just type in id and it will execute that command. Okay, now let's move on. We're nearly done here. Alias. How do you use alias? That's quite interesting. Alias is very important. Now let's see. You just simply type alias and you'll see that there is no aliases actually assigned. So now how do you assign alias? Let's say you wanna instead of typing ls command all the time, just type simply you can simply create an alias called L. So instead of typing ls, you just call L equals sign colon and then ls command, and then put ls command with I don't know, let's say just all, print all. So we create this alias. Now if you type L and simply execute, you will see that it will execute this command. So we assign alias to L. So ls command with an all is executed. Now you can, this is very actually useful thing to do, is create an alias for rm command. So rm command which you want to execute, type in rm with an I. If you remember or you have a look in manual pages, that I there for rm command is it means that it will prompt every time you try to remove something. So instead of sometimes running rm command removing something, you will ask you every time you try to remove something, just instead of typing rm, you will execute now rm -i command. It's just like running that. And so every time you try to execute something, remove something, you will prompt and ask you, are you sure you want to do this? So that's how it works. So you can create many aliases and you can actually create a file with them, because I'm not sure if this is these aliases that I created actually exist only in RAM or on the system. I think they, after the computer switched off or after the terminal was closed down, I think this aliases get erased, but you need to create permanent ones for rm command and other commands you like to run short. So you can see that the aliases that are created, you simply type in alias and you can see that all these aliases are created here, which I just created. And I think to remove aliases you need to type in unalias, alias, if I remember, unalias L alias, yeah, that removes, and it's the same thing on alias rm, and think that alias, yeah, that removed that alias. So this is how you add and remove alias. Now the next command we're gonna use, so yeah, just remember this is a very useful thing to do, to create and have on your computer. Removing anything from your without prompting, this can be dangerous. Accidentally you can just erase some file that you might need. Anyway, so the next command, we're gonna chown command. So change user ownership. Now this is a command that you can run simply as this. Just type in sudo. It's a root privilege command, chown, and then you type in, let's say you want change the ownership of a file. Oh, let's just have a look for a second. ls which file we want to get rid of, not get rid of, sorry, but modify this Linux file. Okay, hold on. So just type ls a list. So that's, oh, it's already been, I've been tampering with it. It's under names bat. So if I want to change it back to tux, so it exists under the name bat, some user bat. What I want to do is change it back to tux, because that's my file. So we need to type use a sudo command. Sudo type chown, change the ownership, name tux, and the name of the file will be home directory Linux file. It's called, and asking for password, type in password, and that should do the trick. Now let's just see if it's been changed, and yes, indeed it was. So here we have a tux instead of a bat. Okay, now changing a group ownership. Just give me a second, I'm gonna have a look at the manual pages quickly. Now if you remember, I showed you how to that we had a group called team1. Team1. Oh, actually no, this won't work. Yeah, so remember we had a group called team1. So if we try to change the ownership, so changing a group ownership, just type sudo ch group, and then we need to type a name of group team1, and then a file. So file, that should work, Linux again. So we're changing, as here you can see, this means the user, this means the group. So the group's tux in this case, but we're changing to team1. Okay, then let's see if it worked. And yes, indeed it worked. Now you see that this file belongs to a group team1. Now the same thing you can do, change it back. So just type in sudo grp tux, and the file Linux. This is just the file name, so don't get confused. So I just call it Linux. I don't know, it was easy. Yeah, not very creative, but yeah. Okay, so that's it. So this is how you change the, oh yeah, so you can see that it changed back. So tux, so the Linux file is changed back. Now the next is actually a little bit more complicated command, but you will no doubt learn this pretty easy. Now you see these things here in front, the bits, they're called bits. Now this means this, if there's nothing here in front, it means it's a file, whatever file, text file or any file. Now D means, this is how you search when you do the lsl command. You'll see all the permissions. This is the permissions, especially when you just install your new Linux. you will have a permission set up automatically by your system, but sometimes you don't want that some permission be restricted for your files. So what you want to do is change them. Now so how do you change them? This is how you change them. So first you need to understand that this is just a simple file. This means D means directory, and the same thing goes just like as above. What this means, this RWX, and it repeats itself 3 times. RWX, RWX. This means it's a bit for read, write, execute, read, and the first 3 is for user, the next 3 is for the group, and the next 3 is for the other. So read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. So this file is not restricted to anything because it just says it's readable, writable, and executable. Readable, writable, and executable for group, for the user group, and anyone who wants to use it. So that's the permission I set up. But if you need to change this permission, especially if it's set up like this, where only user can be using it, this one it's readable and executable but not writable, and the rest, and for anyone else who uses, there's only executable. Means they can only have a look at it, or not even have a look, but can just execute it. So we want to change this. Now how do you change it? Okay, you need to use again, just before actually we move on to that, so these bits you need to remember. You can see here, read means read, assign a number 4, write assign number 2, and X assigned number 1, or execute. So R is 4, W is 2, and execute is 1. Now in order to change 1 bit or 3 bits, you simply need to add which ones you want to execute. Let's say, for example, let's just get this file test2, for example. It's readable, writable, but not executable. Readable, writable, not executable, and only readable for anyone else who you want to use it. So how do I change this? Now I want to change everything to be readable, writable, and executable. You simply type in sudo command, sudo chmod, change the mode, and then you need to type a number 7. Now number 7, if you see here, read, write, execute, you add these numbers 4, 2, and 1, it will give you number 7. So 7 is, that means for this 3 digits, it's already readable and executable, but it doesn't matter. It will set up all of the bits it will set up all the bits on. So read, write, and execute, because execute at the moment is not present, this bit. The same thing you want to add again to another bit, which these 3, read, write, execute, which means that it will be readable, writable, and executable. So that's 7. Add them up, and then the same thing we want to add to read, write, execute 777 to anyone else who uses computer, and then you type name of the file, test2.txt, and this should work. Now let's just see ls to the L, and you can see that this test command set all the files, all these bits to be executable, readable, writable, and executable. You want this always have a WRX on all your files that you are using on your computer, because sometimes if you have a restriction to a directory, you will not be able to open it from the not from the terminal, but from the command line, not command line, but from the interactive environment. So now let's just quickly show you how to get rid of all the bits. So simply type again, so if you want to get rid of all the bits, so you don't want your file to be readable, writable, or executable, so just simply type sudo, no one really uses that, chmod 000, it means 4 out of 3, so 0 for this, 0 for that, 0 for that, and 0 for that, for those 3. And yeah, just type in 00 and test2.txt, enter ls list, and then you will see that test2 has been modified and nothing is. Now let's say you want this file to be readable and writable, only readable and writable, and you want first bit to be readable and writable, second bit wants to be only readable, and the last one only executable. Now how do you do that? Okay, so if you want something to be readable and writable, you simply need to add these two numbers, 4 and 2. So read and write 4 and 2, that will be 6. So now type in sudo chmod 6 for the first bit. The second we wanted it be to only readable, so that will be 4. If you remember that readable, that will be 4. And the last one we wanted to be an only executable. Actually we want to be readable and executable, read and execute, so R and X, so that will be 5. Read, and so you see how this makes sense logically. So this will be user, for the user is 6, for the group is 4, and for everyone else is executable and readable. And then you just need to type simply test2.txt, and this will modify the file. As you can see, the file has been modified as we wanted. So you can see the first two bits are present because we wanted it to be readable and writable. The next we want to be only readable, so out of the 3 bits only readable, and for others, so user, group and others, everyone else, readable and executable. So yeah, that's how you use this chmod, and it's very important because usually what I do is, if I see my Linux directory like this, I just simply type in sudo chmod, because usually when you create the first folder or using a directory where you use it with terminal, you will see that sometimes it's not completely readable and executable, and you just simply type 777 and type in Linux, and that will change the permission for the directory. That's what I usually do. And it's also just for the directories, if you change the permission like this to be all readable and writable and executable, this will change all inside directories as well, so everything under the Linux and all the files. So it's pretty good. Instead of changing single files, going inside the directory and changing all the files, changing a directory to that will also change all the files and other directories under this Linux directory. So very useful to remember. 777 Linux, 777 on anything you want. chmod, very important command. So okay, thank you very much. I'll leave it at that, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson 5. Thank you very much and goodbye. See you next time.